Welcome to episode 31 of Pinnacle FC, Champions League Round of 16 edition. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe with you. We're recording this late on Monday, so it's a very quick turnaround. So all the storytelling, the laughs, the jokes that you've come to love about this podcast, we're going to shelf it for the time being, okay? Picks and plays, rapid fire style, taking you through all 8 fixtures here in the Champions League. Are you good to go, Jake? Shall we just dive right in?
Yes, let's dive in.
There you go. Jake usually would ramble on and give some extended explanation on why it matters, but we'll get to that over the course of the podcast. The markets that we use are all available on Pinnacle. Bet smart, bet Pinnacle. And let's go with start with the early fixture on Tuesday. It's Club Brugge and Aston Villa. Maybe a little bit of a surprising fixture. You probably wouldn't have guessed this would be a round of 16 tie heading into the competition, but the new format has given us games like this. And Club Brugge did exceptionally well in the knockout phase of this competition, beating Atalanta, both home and away, to knock out our beloved side from the Serie A out of this competition and providing some chaos in the process. Club Brugge did very well, showing that they do have some goal-scoring prowess, something that they have shown domestically. They're a side that can score goals. Nielsen has 9 in the Belgian league, and Vanaken, Zolis, and Skov also all have 8. But this team only scored 10 goals through the league phase of this competition. They also played Aston Villa during the league phase and won in a very awkward and controversial way, 1-0 at home. Aston Villa, meanwhile, looked a completely different outfit from the last time that these sides met, bringing in Asensio, who's been absolutely on flames. Marcus Rashford is there. But they're different because of the players. Some of the players are going to be missing at the very least for the first leg. Torres, Onana both out. So is Malin, the new recruit. And Cash and Mings are both doubtful ahead of this tie as well. Villa are a slight favorite and a significant one to advance from this round of 16 tie. Have the markets got it right, Jake Osgathorpe?
I think they've got the right favourite, but I think that the Villa are a little bit too short. I mean, they're implying that Bruges have got only a 31% chance of advancing, which I think is a little bit on the low side. I probably have it close to 36, 37, which suggests that there is some value in backing Bruges to qualify at plus 219. When we get to this stage of the competition, usually defensive teams fare pretty well, and they've been one of the better defensive teams so far, conceding just 1.1 expected goal against per game in the league phase. They limited Atalanta just 1.05 XG in the first leg of that playoff as well. So they've got that in their favour. And ultimately, Villa are a very strong attacking team now that they've got extra bodies through the door in January. But Bruges should be able to deal with them. And going the other way, Villa look vulnerable defensively with injuries and the fact that they conceding a lot of goals at the moment, especially away from home. So I wouldn't put any way off backing Bruges to qualify at plus 219. The first leg, I'm just taking a pro Bruges play. You can back them to win the game at plus 202 if you want a big price, but I'm just going to take them on the handicap, plus a quarter, minus 122. Basically, we get a winner if Bruges avoid defeat. And yeah, ultimately, this is down to Villa's away form. They've been really, really bad since November. 9 defeats in 12 away games across all competitions, which includes losing to Bruges. So, yeah, I think this is going to be one of those games that's probably a difficult watch for the neutral, but one that I think Bruges will get a positive result to take to Villa Park, which they're going to need because Villa Park has been a bit of a fortress.
Right. Based upon Aston Villa's play as of late, they're a much more accomplished or look a much more dangerous side going forward than they do defending. Some of that is down to the Torres injury. I just think that based upon the home and away here in the league play of this competition, you can play things a little bit more safe. I think that shows up in the data when you look at what Club Brugge was able to do in order to progress. But I think that the fact that there is no away goals rule in these games or in this tournament opens things up to maybe some goals being scored. You mentioned Aston Villa. Away from home, they have the 4th worst expected goals against in the Premier League. And no Torres, that's problematic. Both teams' scorers played in 5 of their last 6 games as well. For Club Brugge, they haven't had a clean sheet in their last 5, and they've gone over in 4 of their last 5 as well. I'm with you. I wouldn't call anyone off or talk anyone off of a pro Bruges play plus 202. If you want a 0 handicap play or a draw no bet, that's also available on Pinnacle at plus 118. I kind of like the total in this game. Over 2.5 at plus 102. Again, with Rashford, Asensio, Rodgers, Watkins. Like, I just look at this Villa side. They're so much more dangerous in attack. Like, and that's despite losing John Duran in January. That's kind of where I'm angling here, is to make a play over the total rather than who'll go out to win the game. But I certainly see things the same way as you. If I was to back a side, it would be Club Brugge at the very least in this first leg. All right, let's go to the Madrid derby. Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid. What a draw. This is a gift for me. Like, Real Madrid are going to have to run a gauntlet in order to go back to back in this competition. They got past Manchester City and their reward playing a local rival who they just happen to have drawn 1-1 in the last 3 meetings between these sides. Obviously, Real Madrid's still dealing with a little bit of an injury crisis. It's got a bit better with players like Rudiger coming back in this team, but they'll be without Jude Bellingham in the first leg as he is suspended, and Valverde is also a doubt. Atletico Madrid, meanwhile, haven't lost a game in 10. I should also mention, head-to-head with Real Madrid, both teams to score has also played in 9 of 9, and they haven't played in this competition since 2017. I can report that Sergio Ramos is nowhere near this Atletico or this Real Madrid side for Atleti fans. He's playing in Monterrey in the CONCACAF Champions Cup against Vancouver Whitecaps on Wednesday night instead of playing in the Madrid derby. How do you see this playing out? Real Madrid, the favorite at home in the first leg. And by some margin, it kind of reminds me when these two sides played last in La Liga, a very similar market. In that game, as I mentioned, ended in a 1-1 draw. How do you see this playing out, Jake?
Very similar manner. I mean, Simeone's not going to change his tactics, not going to change his approach because it's been so successful for him. If you look at just pure 90 minutes, they've played, or across the last 8 matches, Atletico Madrid are unbeaten in the head-to-heads across 8 in terms of playing 90 minutes. I mean, they've played in Super Cups, Copa del Rey, they've gone to extra time, but within the 90 minutes, they are unbeaten against Real Madrid in 8. They've lost just 1 of the last 10 head-to-heads, but they've only won twice in that period as well. So, I mean, just based on that stat alone, I'm more than happy to back Atletico on the handicap, even money, just to avoid defeat. As you mentioned, Bellingham, Valverde out, huge blows for Madrid. They're 2 of the better players, and granted they've got a big squad that can bring good players in, but they're big blows. And I think Atletico Madrid will be more than happy to see neither of them playing. Probably more Valverde than Bellingham, because I think Valverde is one of the players that really gets stuck in these matches. And gets under the skin of the Atletico Madrid players just with his power, physicality, pace. But yeah, I just think this is going to be a cracking tie. Based on what we've seen so far in the last 3 or 4, it's going to be 1-1 at the Bernabeu and then 1-1 in the reverse game as well. Into extra time we go. And I think that's really interesting because that means that there's a very, very small advantage in Atletico Madrid's favour that the second leg is going to be at Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
And that's their reward for finishing higher in the standings in the league phase. So that if it does go to extra time, they've got an extra 30 minutes in front of their own fans. They've got penalties in front of their own fans. But they're an appetising price actually to advance our Atletico Madrid. Perhaps a slightly bigger than what I would expect. But I'm not going to make that play because Real Madrid are just the Champions League team, aren't they? They just keep pulling rabbits out of hats where you don't think there's any more rabbits. Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham, like someone always comes up with a big goal at a big time. And usually it's in games where they don't deserve to actually win the game and they somehow manage to win it. And like you said, they are slowly getting fitter. Rudiger's back, Alaba's back, Carvajal he's still out, but his replacement Vazquez, who missed both games against City, he's back. So yeah, I'm not going to be betting against them in the tie, but I do think that Atletico Madrid will be well set up to get a result at the Bernabeu, especially without Bellingham and without Valverde.
Exactly the same play for me. I made it with last time they played in La Liga. I've seen nothing that will change the way that I look at this. I also just think that the best bet to make is let's continue that trend of both teams to score. at minus 124. Like, that's a decent number for me. I'm surprised. Like, not just based on history, but what these two sides are all about. Like, this isn't the Atletico Madrid side from a few years ago that is keeping clean sheets week in, week out. It's a team that still plays progressive football, that plays aggressive attacking football. So yeah, I think both teams to score at minus 124. That's one of my favorite plays. And I'll be absolutely making that in conjunction with Atletico Madrid on the handicap in the first leg. PSV in Arsenal. Well, let's talk Arsenal first because they've lost all their attacking talent, prowess. Nuno Espirito Santos of Nottingham Forest says, well, I wasn't going to play five in the back against this team because they don't play with a striker. It's been a real struggle since they lost Havertz and Saka and Jesus. It's been a bit of a nightmare for Arsenal. They played to under 2.5 in 4 of their last 5. They've only scored against Leicester City in their last 4 games, and that's Leicester City. So I'm not sure what you can read about that, but it's also a team that doesn't really concede many chances, especially in the Champions League. 5.8 expected goals against in the Champions League phase was the best in that category. PSV, meanwhile, no clean sheet in 6. They've gone over in their last 5. They beat Juventus 3-1 at home and survived that tie. For them, the 3 Americans remain out: Tillman, Pepe, and Dest. Other than that, a clean slate of health. They played last, by the way, in December of 2023 at PSV, and it ended in a 1-1 draw. What do you make of the Arsenal here? Because a fully fit Arsenal side, I think you'd be kind of foolish to bet against them, but the state of things right now and just Marino up top and their lack of attacking options have really let them down. So how do you prognosticate this game, Jake?
It's difficult. It's very difficult. And, it's not just Arsenal that are going through a little bit of a struggle. PSV have also kind of capitulated in the Eredivisie to the point where Ajax have now got a pretty comfortable, pretty sizable lead at the top of that table. They stretched it to 8 points at the weekend. PSV dropped points for the 4th straight game. So they've absolutely fallen to pieces after what was a really, really hot start. So they're out of sorts as well. So you've got 2 teams really that you don't want to back either of them. I think at the prices, you probably look at Arsenal and say, plus money for even this Arsenal team is probably a good bet. I'm just going to avoid it altogether, though. Like you said, there's too much uncertainty around the striking options, just the forward options in general. To be honest, whether it's Marino down the middle or Sterling and Trossard, it's very, very limited in terms of what they can do. I think the unders is a serious runner. I think this could be a very, very low scoring tie, given that Arsenal's strength does lie in defence. But I think that the angle I'm going to approach for this first leg is cards, because the refereeing appointment is a very, very good one. It's Jesus Gil Manzano, who has averaged just 6.45 cards per 90 this season. So he's likes flashing the cards. He's had 5 European games so far. He's gone 6-6-5-4-0. Weirdly, the 0 came in the first leg of the Celtic Bayern game where there were barely any fouls. Whereas before that, he'd been very, very happy to oblige, handing cards out. And I think this is going to be quite a bit of a nitty-gritty game, and probably two matches, to be honest, because PSV ranks 6th for cards in the competition this season. Their matches have averaged 4.4 cards per game. Arsenal are fairly low for cards in this competition, 3.1 per game, but domestically they're up near 5. And I think that's just down to schedule, really, because they had at the start of just in general, looking at the schedule, it's very, very kind of meek, if you like. Some of the teams that they've played, in particular like Spartak and Zagreb, and play, they're not going to be very, very fierce matches because it's going to be so one-sided. So I'm willing to just kind of overlook that a little bit, and I think that this could be a game that really does get the referee making him very busy, I think. So yeah, the line's set at 4. You can back over 4 bookings at plus 104. I just thought that was probably half a booking too little. I thought the line should be at 4.5 based on the referee's record. If it's exactly 4, we get our money back. And any more than that, we get a winner. So I'm more than happy to chance that in a game that I think could be a little bit niggly, with neither team wanting to give much up, and obviously neither team looking or anywhere near their best.
Yeah, of all the games, this is the one I don't want to watch. I don't want anything to do with this. Like, to be honest with you, I think that Arteta needs to set up in a defensive way and try to sneak it in the home fixture here. And I'm happy to play the under 2.5 at -118, but I like to get a little bit more juice. Like, I'm looking at the play if you're willing to make a half unit, a full unit. I don't know how you feel about it, but PSV not to score or under half a goal at +171. That looks to be the best way forward for me. Like, are you going to tell me like a forward line of Luke de Jong, Noah Lang, Ivan Perisic is scoring? Perisic for this team. There's a lot of hardworking, combative players. I like your description of them, but do they have what it takes to systematically break down this Arsenal side? I'm not quite sure about that. And at +171, that's a decent enough number for me to make a play that PSV won't score. By the way, it does come with some risk. They had 25 shots against Juventus in the second leg and created chances against at Juve, also away from home in a 2-1 loss. But I understand that. But at +171, and based upon how Arsenal have to play, that's why I'm inclined to make that one of my plays for this fixture. All right, Borussia and Dortmund taking on Lille in the final fixture of the Tuesday games. Dortmund, since the new managers come in, have done somewhat better. They got past Sporting Lisbon in the previous round of the competition. No losses in 3, haven't conceded a goal at 3, and they're still a very good home side in Bundesliga. And in the Champions League, they only lost one home game, and that came 3-2 against Barcelona. Lille have gone over in 8 of their last 10 games. They got smoked on the weekend, 4-1 loss to PSG, but there were a few changes into this team. But the question is whether they've hit their ceiling. They were probably the biggest surprise outfit in the league phase of this competition. Can a Canadian Jonathan David keep it going against a somewhat vulnerable Dortmund side? How are you looking at this fixture? Like, this one might be the most evenly contested amongst the games that don't feature the big dogs in this competition. I think there's a good opportunity for both these teams to go on and think they have a chance to advance. What do you think is going to play out here?
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I think the market does as well. This is the tightest game in terms of the qualify odds. And I think it's very difficult to call. Dortmund under new management, obviously things are going pretty well so far, but there's just so many uncertainties around what we're going to expect. And then you've got Lille, who were the biggest overperformers in the league phase, finished 7th despite accumulating only the 27th most expected points. So they finished basically in the bottom third of the league in terms of expected points and in the top third for actual points. They've taken some big scalps as well. Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, they're beating both of those. So they are capable of going to Dortmund and getting a result. But I can't have a bet in this one. I think there's too many uncertainties. I think if I was to lean, it would be back in Lille on the handicap because you're getting 3/4 of a goal, which looks a touch big. But I'm just going to kind of, I probably won't even watch this one, to be fair. I'll probably just grab the Real Madrid game on and just kind of keep tabs on this.
And that's a +0.75 at +106 as well. Like, the market's almost daring you. They're trying to tempt you to back Lille in this one. I've seen them play a lot just based upon the fact that I'm Canadian. It's good to watch Jonathan David play. I just fully can't get behind them because this is Dortmund at home. Talk to me in the second leg, and we'll see where things stand. I think that this one might be an opportunity to make a decent play in the second leg, but this one, I agree. I'm just staying away. If you like the goals, Girassi up top for Dortmund's the leading goal scorer in this competition. The goal total set at 2.75 for this one as well. Again, at +105 for the over. Lille looks susceptible at times defensively, and Jonathan David has gone out and scored against all the big dogs that he's played thus far in this competition. So we'll see, but I'm with you. No play for me. Let's move on to the Wednesday fixtures. Feyenoord and Inter Milan. Feyenoord, a significant underdog in this one. Although they haven't lost a game in their last 6. They beat Bayern Munich at home to wrap up the knockout phase of this competition 3-0. You're like, okay, maybe fool's goal, but then they go on and eliminate AC Milan and knock them out of this competition. They scored 20 goals so far, but they have an expected goals of just 11.4. So maybe it's a little bit of an illusion how good they are of an attacking side. As for Inter, no losses in 3. They've only conceded 1 goal. That's it. 1 goal in 8 in the Champions League, despite winless in their last 4 in Serie A, 2 losses and 2 draws, but they came against decent sides: AC Milan, Fiorentina, Juventus, and Napoli. Inter look like a beast in this competition, but their form hasn't been great in Serie A. So does that change the way that you look at them heading into this round of 16 fixture, Jake?
Not really, no. It'd be a massive, massive shock if they were to go out here. This is the biggest one-sided tie, if you like, according to the market. They've got Inter at minus 108, and yeah, it's really hard to see them not progressing because Feyenoord, as you mentioned there, have just been really, really fortunate to get so far. And again, it's a little bit of a weird quirk and adds more uncertainty, but Feyenoord actually got through the last round with an interim manager and have since appointed Robin van Persie as the new manager.
My guy.
And things haven't started too well in terms of league results. They did manage to beat Almere City 2-1. But last time out, they drew with Nijmegen at home, which is not a very good result for a team that are chasing Champions League football. They put up just 1.1 expected goals in that game, and I think they're going to struggle even more to create chances against Inter Milan. So, I absolutely expect Inter to get through. I actually think, I know we're not really talking outrights, but I actually think this is a good time to back Inter in the outright market. You look at the side of the draw that they're on, it's not super routine. They come out of this game and they get either Leverkusen or Bayern, but I think that's a toss-up either way. And then beyond that, I think is it Barcelona that could get in the semi-finals, which again, it's a tie that I could see Inter winning. And you're getting plus 1100, which I just thought was really, really big for a team that have shown that they've got serious pedigree in this competition. And especially in just cup competitions. And you look at some of the teams around them, like Bayern Munich are plus 750 to win the competition. Yeah. What have they shown us that they deserve to be shorter than Inter? I mean, they barely scraped past Celtic in the last round. They finished way down the league phase. They're playing a tougher opponent as well in this round. So they're not as guaranteed, according to the odds, as Inter are to get this into the quarterfinals. So that for me was a big head scratcher, and I would probably have those two switched in the market, and I'll probably have Inter a little bit shorter, maybe close to Arsenal's price at plus 700, because as we've mentioned, Arsenal have serious problems up and down the team in terms of, well, especially at the top end of the pitch, and they've got a gauntlet to run as well. They've got to go through Liverpool, and they've got to go through Real Madrid potentially. So yeah, I thought they looked the biggest kind of mispriced team in the outright market, and I think if you are going to back them, now's the time to do it, because if and when, we're obviously saying that we fully expect them to get past Feyenoord, but if they do, then that price is going to shorten quite drastically. And they probably do go into maybe third, fourth favourites, because there's every chance we lose at Real Madrid as well at this round. You just never know. So plus 1100, I'm going to make that kind of an official play to get on board now. I still think they're too big.
Awesome. Inter to the unders away from home. I'm not going to overthink this. There was a stretch where it seemed like every time they played away from home, they came away with a clean sheet. I like under 2.75, but I like Feyenoord not to score at plus 136, even better. So Feyenoord, no goals in this game at plus 136. That is my official play, nice. But the unders makes a whole lot of sense. Inter have gone under in 4 of their last 5, and it's 2.75 as well. I think there's some value to be had there. Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. Okay, another big fixture between two rival sides. And we already dealt with the Madrid derby. Neither one of these fixtures is the best one of the bunch. We're saving the best for last, okay? But it's Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen haven't lost in their last 6 meetings with Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich, get this, haven't lost in their last 9 games in all competitions. Leverkusen haven't lost in their last 8. So something needs to give. Or will it in this first leg? Again, Bayern Munich is significant favorite here. Leverkusen out on the handicap, plus 3/4 of a goal, so plus 0.75. And you can get on side with Leverkusen at minus 113. That's my play in this one as well. Again, Alphonso Davies, his status very much up in the air. We're not sure where his injury is at, as he left the game early on the weekend. That would be a loss for Bayern Munich. And Leverkusen has proved time and time again they play well against this Bayern Munich side. So again, I'm not going to overthink this. I'm not against you mentioned the cards a couple times on this podcast. I'm looking at the card total as well. Over 4.5 cards has played in 5 of their last 6 meetings as well. So I'll hand
Good
things over
referee
to
as
you.
well. Yeah, no, I definitely had the cards marked for this one because I think I'm just going to double check quickly, but I think it's Michael Oliver. It is Michael Oliver who's the man in the middle, and he is a very, very good referee for cards.
Over
So
4
I
at
definitely
plus
would be.
143 on Pinnacle.
Yeah, that seems absolutely insane. I mean, just for context, Oliver has dished out an average of 4.8 cards per game across all competitions this season. Yeah, and in the Champions League, he's not been too crazy, but he hasn't overseen too many kind of big matches, if you like. Like he's had quite a few PSG games. He had the PSG 7 Brest 0 game, kind of game over, 2 yellow cards in that one. But he's also had PSV Girona 8 yellows and a red. Young Boys Inter 5 yellows. Red Star Benfica 5 yellows. Karabag Dinamo in the qualifiers 4 yellows and a red. So there's every chance that this gets a little bit tasty. So yeah, I'm all over that price for bookings. I think that's definitely something to look at, especially when the line's at 4. I mean, as you mentioned, these two teams have gone over regularly in recent meetings, so that's definitely one. But yeah, I'm with you as well. I think the match handicap is probably maybe half a goal too big. I don't think there's anywhere near the gulf inside in these sides as what this market is suggesting. As you mentioned, the it's almost like that people pricing this up didn't watch the game that happened 2 weeks ago, where Bayern Munich went to the Bayern Arena. Granted, it was at the Bayern Arena, but they had 2 shots in 90 minutes, just 2, equating to 0.05 expected goals. Like they couldn't lay a glove, lay a finger, anything. They couldn't lay anything on Bayer Leverkusen. And Leverkusen were really unfortunate not to win that game. They racked up over 2 expected goals themselves. So yeah, it's really weird. As you said, unbeaten in 6 against Bayern. They've already knocked them out the DFB Pokal this season, drawn both league matches. So yeah, I'm just scratching my head as to why we're getting 3/4 of a goal head start backing against a team that could only just draw against Celtic. I mean, come on. Yeah. Like, they were seconds away from going to extra time against Celtic, who were like a really, really poor team. So yeah, 3/4 of a goal is absolutely lock it in -113. It's a cracking bet.
Yep. I don't understand this one at all, but that's okay. We'll take full advantage of that. 2 plays in this game for me. I thought the bookings were at 4.5, and I had to do a double take there. 4 on Pinnacle at plus 143. I mean, pinch me, like brilliant. That previous game might be a little bit cagey. This one probably not. It's Benfica and Barcelona in a rematch of one of the games of the league stage of this competition, where Barcelona in a wild one won 5-4 away from home. Benfica haven't lost in 8 in all competitions, and Barcelona no losses in 15 in all competitions. Are you expecting the goals? I mean, this is the highest combined goal total that's been set over the course of these first round of fixtures, over 3.5. The total is set at 3.5 in this. I still think that could be a little bit low. To be honest with you, Benfica can't defend. We know what Barcelona's all about. So that's kind of where I'm heading with this.
Yeah, no, it would be a massive shock to see this be a low-scoring game because these are two teams. They're not going to change their approach. That's just how they play. They're very gung-ho, very attack-minded, and I think that we're going to see plenty of goals. And yeah, I won't put anybody off taking the overs, but I think when there's goals, we've got to look at goal scorers. And Pinnacle have the prices up for Lewandowski to score, and it's a plus 103, which I think looks an absolute gift because he's scored in 7 of his last 9 matches. He's scored a brace in this fixture in January. He scored 21 goals in La Liga, averaging nearly 1 expected goal per 90. He scored 9 in the Champions League, averaging 1.1 expected goals per 90. Benfica have conceded 15 in 10. Barca have scored 28 in 8, 2.5 expected goals for per game. Like Barca are going to score twice here. What are the chances Lewandowski's on it? It's better than what the odds are implying here, which is about 51% chance. So I think that's a cracking bet, just backing Lewandowski to score. He is on penalties as well. And the last time these two played, there were 3 penalties in the game. And there probably should have been a 4th. Benfica should have had a penalty before Barca went and scored the winner. When it's such a chaotic, hectic game, penalties do increase, or the chances of a penalty does increase. But yeah, I just think that his price to score at +103 just looked massive. We had a bit of joy, didn't we? The last round, we had Dembele to score a plus number as well. This just looks like a pretty obvious play, but you factor in that Rafinha's only a bit bigger at +123, and Lewandowski's your striker, who's absolutely on fire, gets nearly one expected goal per 90. He's going to get 2 or 3 really good chances here, and a striker of his quality is going to put one away. So that's my favourite bet in this one.
Just wanted to share really quickly, expected goals in that game, Benfica 3.34 with 6 big chances. Barcelona 3.63 and 7 big chances. And they were glorious chances. Like, they were giving away chances for fun. So over 3.5 at +106. Sign me up. Even Benfica team total over a goal and a half at +133. That looks good to me as well. This is one of those games where I think it's okay to be a little bit greedy. And we'll see. Hopefully we won't be haven't jinxed this and it's like some 1-0, like it can't be just the way that these two play. So never say never, but come on, never. Let's go with that. And finally, I mean, having future bets with Barcelona, I really had stake in the draw that played out. And when PSG drew Liverpool instead of Barcelona, I gave out a yelp. I was like, come on, get it. It was like I scored a match-winning goal in the 92nd minute. It's PSG and Liverpool. Like, this is the battle of the Titans right now. PSG started the knockout, the league phase very slowly, but have now rounded to form, are one of the top teams in European football. There's no doubt about that. 10 wins in a row, no losses in their last 22 games. And they're taking on the Giants, the league leaders of the Premier League, in Liverpool. What a fixture this is going to be over 2 legs. Honestly, your guess is as good as mine because both these sides are, well, I'd say that PSG is banging form, and Liverpool, you can never rule them out based on the quality that they have in that team as well. Take it away, Jake. How do you see these 2 legs playing out between these 2 sides, and specifically the first leg here? Is there a bet to be made?
I'm gonna maybe be a little bit controversial here. Probably not. I think Liverpool are massive price to win the first leg. I +188 is massive, and I think we are in the same stage we usually are with PSG at this stage of the season, which is getting carried away because they're battering Ligue 1 teams. Like, they played a Ligue 1 team in the last round as well, so we can't even say they beat a good European team. They played Brest, beat them 10-0 on aggregate. Yeah, but what would you think the score would be if Liverpool played Brest? It would probably be 8-0 over 2 legs or something like that. So I think that it happens every single season where PSG come into these kind of stages and everyone's like, wow, they're flying in the league. They're hammering everybody. But they haven't played anyone good. When they played somebody good, it was early on in the Champions League, like you said. And that's why they started slowly, because they had a tough start to the schedule. They played Atletico Madrid, they lost. They played Bayern Munich, who we know are not very good, they lost. We played Arsenal in October. They got absolutely handled by Arsenal at the Emirates. Like, I'm just not jumping on this PSG bandwagon just yet because I don't think they've shown us that they're capable of beating a very good team. They've not been tested defensively. Their attack has been playing like pathetic defenses every single week and scoring 7. Like, I don't think we can read too much into it until they actually go out and actually do it. So until I see it, I'm not going to be backing them to do anything against Liverpool. I'm going to be doing the opposite because I've seen Liverpool beating very, very good teams every single week. They're running away with the Premier League. And then you factor in the kind of, I don't know if it was foreseen, but the beautifully timed chef kiss of getting knocked out of the FA Cup. So they've got a free weekend just before the first leg of this. So they are fresh as a daisies for this first leg in Paris. And yeah, I think that I think Liverpool should be favourites to win in Paris, and they are nearly +200 to do so. So I'm more than happy just to take Liverpool to win at +188, and just kind of put PSG back in the place of you're good, but you're not that good. And also look at backing Salah to score. It's a very obvious play, +142. But since the November international break, he's scored in 16 of 23 appearances. And yeah, if Liverpool are going to go here and win, he's going to have something to say about it because he is the main man, the man for moments. And Yeah, I'm taking a very pro Liverpool stance. It could well backfire on me if PSG show that they are, legitimately one of those teams that can win this competition. But as I said, until I've witnessed it, I'm not going to be believing it. I've got to see it to believe it.
I have a similar play. I'm not as confident because if you can't beat Plymouth Argyle, can you go to Paris on a? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Like when Liverpool scores, there's a second one inevitably that comes. Like the last time that they scored just one goal in a game was January 14th against Nottingham Forest. Like they score the one, and you just feel that they're not done. Like they just come in waves. I think Liverpool team total over a goal and a half at plus 110 is great value. I think that PSG can go out and score in this game. I think that they're very accomplished moving forward, but they do concede, especially when they play better teams. And I think that Liverpool 2 goals, that is my, in the words of Jake Osgathorpe, a smashing or cracking bet, plus
Yeah.
over a goal and a half at plus 110. So I'll leave it
And
there.
people just on PSG, just before we wrap up, like, people forget that Manchester City went to the Parc de France and absolutely dominated them for 45
And
minutes.
then,
They
and
dominated them.
then,
And yeah, but then Man City fell to pieces like they usually do because they're not very good. If Liverpool do the same and get comfortably in front, there's no way PSG come back into that game.
right.
And I just think that Liverpool are a head and shoulders better than Man City at this moment in time, and I think they'll show that. So yeah, I like it. I like Liverpool. If Liverpool score twice, I think they'll win the game.
Okay. Your top 3 bets are, mine were forgettable on the weekend. Let's get back on track. Go ahead, Jake. Your top 3?
I'm going to go with Lewandowski to score at plus 103. I'm going to take Leverkusen on the handicap at minus 113, and I will also take. I'll take over 4 bookings in the PSV game at plus 104.
In the PSV game? Okay, 4 bookie.
PSV,
Yeah.
yeah, the PSV Arsenal
Okay.
game.
My top bet, both teams to score in the Madrid derby, minus 124. Book it. Feyenoord to fail to score against Inter at plus 136. And I like over 4 bookings in Bayern Munich and Leverkusen at plus 143. So that's it. Even when we said we were going to go rapid fire and go quickly, we're still over half an hour. Sorry to our producers, but lucky you, the listener and viewer, in order to get all the information you get so you can make the most informed plays here in the Champions League. On behalf of Jake, I am Gareth Wheeler. This has been episode 31 of Pinnacle FC.